I've seen a lot of White Sox baseball over the years. No shortage of memorable moments, historical milestones, and exciting dramatics. But what I witnessed on Wednesday was a group of players that clearly did not want to be wearing a White Sox uniform and had no interest in competing. Sure, the opportunity for postseason play was pretty much erased after Tuesday's loss, but I didn't think I'd see the White Sox quit. Sadly, this White Sox team looked in pain, and Cleveland put them out of their misery.
You are Locked On White Sox, your daily Chicago White Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Sox fans, welcome to Locked On White Sox. Thank you for making Locked On White Sox your first listen each and every day. We're free and available on all platforms. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Sox. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search Locked On White Sox. Hey, I'm your host, Nick Morawski, a lifelong diehard Chicago White Sox fan, recording this podcast just blocks from the ballpark in beautiful Bridgeport. You can find me on Twitter at Nick_GGTB. Really appreciate you letting me steal some of your time to talk White Sox, especially after Wednesday night's game. Locked On White Sox is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Catch the ball, throw the ball, hit the ball. It is a simple game, but the Sox have turned it into a three-ring circus. Is Miguel Cairo to blame for the bullpen meltdown on Tuesday? And in the biggest series of the year, the Sox might have decided to quit. State of the White Sox, they are 76-73, 6 games back in the AL Central, chasing the Cleveland Guardians with only 13 games left in the season. If I wasn't there at 35th and Shields on Wednesday to witness it, I might not have believed the White Sox would respond to Tuesday night's defeat in such an embarrassing way. No fight, no pride, no sense of desire, all those grinder rules that you see plastered on the walls heading up the ramp to your section. No such life at all from our White Sox. They fell to the Cleveland Guardians 8-2 on Wednesday. What happened? Did the players quit on Miguel Cairo after Tuesday's loss? Did Miguel Cairo fail to get this team ready to play a baseball game? What I saw on Wednesday night was just a bunch of guys going through the motions. Maybe very well were the after effects from Tuesday. Talk about the fallout from that critical game one of the series. There was an article from Scott Merkin, kind of going over a little bit of who's to blame from that loss on Tuesday, and Miguel Cairo shouldering a lot of it. This is what Scott Merkin had to write. There wasn't anything specific that Cairo would share about the disappointment in his job aside from the team losing. Maybe the acting manager was trying to take a little pressure off his players with their collective backs against the wall. This is Cairo specifically. Quote, I should have done a better job. I let my team down. I have to come back tomorrow, meaning Wednesday, and show them, just another day, and we have to perform. I have to perform too. We lost the game, so it's on me, end quote. Well, that was his quote after Tuesday night's game. I did not see any fire, any swagger on Wednesday at all. It was a lifeless bunch of players. It really was. Let's talk a little bit further about Tuesday. Unfortunately, have to revisit it because Cairo is referencing, I think, the way he managed or mismanaged the bullpen. Bullpen gave up 9 runs on Tuesday. Jake Diekman on his own gave up 5 runs. And this is how the bullpen looked. Again, Dylan Cease started, didn't have his best stuff on Tuesday, but went 6 innings, gave up 4 hits, a 1 earned run. So you got Jimmy Lambert coming in the 7th. High leverage situation. Sox were up 3-1. Lambert's been in these situations before. The Sox have used Jimmy Lambert. He went a third of an inning on Tuesday, giving up 2 earned runs, 2 walks. Remember, he walked the first 2 guys he faced. Aaron Bummer was brought in to help out. He pitched 2/3 of an innings, gave up 3 hits. Now, Bummer was brought in to essentially pitch to Stephen Kwan. And, lefty, it did not go well because Bummer threw him a middle fastball. So 8th inning was Ronaldo Lopez, 11 pitches, clean, nothing, dynamite. 9th inning, Hendricks, 1 inning, 15 pitches, nothing, clean, amazing. So then you get to the 10th, and it's Kendall Graveman, a big offseason acquisition for the White Sox. An inning, a hit, 2 runs, and a walk. Then it comes to Diekman in the 11th. Jake Diekman, remember, the lone trade deadline acquisition for this White Sox team. Diekman went an inning, 3 hits, 5 runs, a walk, and a strikeout. All right, Miguel Cairo trying to take the pressure off the team and take the blame. Maybe you go with Ronaldo Lopez earlier, but Lambert, he's pitched very well in high leverage situations. Bummer, again, brought in to face Kwan, lefty. Bummer threw a middle pitch, bad execution. Hendricks only threw 15 pitches. Could he have gone maybe in the 10th as well, a 6-out situation? It's the playoff. It's a playoff type atmosphere on Tuesday. Okay, no hold bars. Maybe Lopez could have gone in the 8th and 9th. Jake Diekman was put in an extremely high leverage situation, but he was your lone trade deadline acquisition, and he's going to be around next year too. I like that Miguel Cairo automatically put the blame on himself. I think that's something Tony La Russa would never have done, but the bullpen can't give up 9 runs in the biggest game of the year. So I've seen the situations. I've heard the arguments on social media. I've talked this out with a lot of different Sox fans over the last 24 hours or so. And you could make some scenarios of why Jimmy Lambert was in that spot. Okay. Why Lopez pitched where he pitched, especially when you needed to kind of hold a lead. But you can't give up 9 runs. Those guys have been in tough situations this year. Bummer, he's just fresh off the IL. So I don't know, I don't know about that one. That lefty situation, though, for Kwan, that went horribly sideways, on the White Sox. So, I get it. There's a lot of blame being put on Cairo. Cairo's trying to put it on himself, but the bullpen can't do what they did, and Jake Diekman especially cannot give up 5 runs. I'm still speechless about that. I still can't believe how that game ended, and I'm sure you feel the same way. The White Sox have made the playoffs 2 straight seasons, and we're anticipating a repeat as AL Central divisional champs. I'm going to tell you why your October schedule has obviously been cleared up. More on that in a moment. Feeling like you just can't get in shape? It's not your fault. As men age, our body naturally loses free testosterone, the man hormone. It happens to every man and can make it more difficult to stay in shape and be energetic and active. Want more energy to counter the negative physical effects of aging? Nugenix Total T Testosterone Booster with Testophene will help you turn back the clock, re-energize your workouts, get you better results at the gym, and help you look and feel like the man you really want to be. Because Nugenix Total T boosts free testosterone that the aging process robs, you'll feel stronger, leaner, with more energy and drive and more passion too. Your partner will notice the difference. Nugenix Total T is the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Nugenix Total T can help re-energize your life and help you get back to the powerful, confident, good-looking warrior you used to be. Now get a complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T when you text MLB to 231-231. Text now and get a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, their most powerful fat incinerator ever, with key ingredients to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text MLB to 231-231. Text MLB to 231-231. Message and data rates may apply. Terms apply. Available at nugenix.com/term. So if you are a season ticket holder, or, if you even belong to the Sox mailing list, or if you've ever purchased White Sox tickets in the not so distant past, you may have received an email on Wednesday morning, morning after that excruciating loss to the Guardians in extra innings. And this email is talking about buying additional playoff tickets, and make sure you lock in your playoff tickets. You don't want to miss the postseason action. I think Fangraphs had the Sox at about a 6% chance. Maybe I'm being generous, 6% to make the playoffs. Can't imagine what it is right now after Wednesday's embarrassing loss. But obviously, postseason isn't happening for the White Sox. It's just not. It's not in the cards. In these next several games, there's going to be a lot of finger pointing and examination, and I have a feeling what we saw on Wednesday is going to maybe happen more times than not. The air has been taken out here. This White Sox team. And maybe the White Sox were done a long time ago. I personally, I just refuse to accept that their shortcomings would really prevent them from winning one of the weakest divisions in all of baseball. Honestly, the writing has been on the wall for quite some time. I just, to my own fault, wasn't really ready to admit that. They made the last 3 weeks or so exciting, but frustrating at the same time. The typical White Sox issues of 2022 have continued to pop up. Poor defense, ineffective at-bats, ground ball after ground ball. And as a diehard Sox fan, it's admittingly tough to step back and see this team from an objective point of view. Perhaps you share the same way. What I was sure of was that they were flawed and also were not living up to their potential. But then again, things seemed different under Miguel Cairo. Once he became the acting manager 3 weeks or so, this team seemed to have just an added bounce in their step, and the performance showed it. However, the Colorado loss last week, the Game 1 defeat to the Tigers on Friday, were indeed signs that I was willing to ignore, signs that pointed to this team being the same old team since day one of the season. Poor fundamentals, poor execution, and overall poor baseball. Just sweep the Guardians. That was the mantra, of course, at the beginning of this week. Everything will be okay if we could just get 3 in a row from those pesky Cleveland Guardians. So now I'm living in two worlds. One world being the rest of this 2022 season, and the other, of course, is the harsh realities that I face for the team that I love and what the off season is going to look like, from the front office to the players and beyond. There are a lot of issues that we are going to be wrestling with as this season winds down, and for sure, once the offseason officially begins and we start hearing from Rick Hahn. It has been a tough week, and it's only Thursday. There is, a lot of baseball left, but the way the Sox have played these two games, and especially the results on Tuesday and Wednesday, difficult for Sox fans everywhere. If you're going to lose, at least go down fighting, show some pride and save face. I'm going to tell you why the White Sox have quit. More on that in a moment. Well, if Tuesday was the nail in the coffin, then Wednesday was the burial. Sox players said all the right things after Tuesday's 11-inning loss, but played an ugly brand of baseball on Wednesday. Lethargic, sloppy, and unfortunately apathetic. And apathy, that's the thing you do not want to see. Yoan Moncada looked like he had no interest in being at the game, let alone playing in it. There was a particular play. I know you're going to, if you watch the game, it happened fairly early in the game, and it really epitomized this entire 2022 season. It happened early. It was a little duck snort from Cleveland out in short left field. Andrew Vaughn charging in. He's playing left field, a lifelong first baseman, possibly DH. He's in left field charging in. Moncada drifting back. It looks like Andrew Vaughn called off Moncada. They almost collide, and Vaughn lets the ball just drop out of his glove as he was charging in. That happened in a series that was a must sweep series. That happened late in September. That actually happened, folks. What you saw, that's been happening all season long. And I get it. Andrew Vaughn has no business being out there in left field, but he's a baseball player. And we're asking him to make a baseball play by running in to catch a ball. What Moncada was doing, I have no idea. The lack of communication. But, players are playing, it's roulette out there. You've got Pollock out there in left one day, then it's Vaughn. It might be Engel. They're moving guys all over the place because we do not have a set outfield. That's a whole nother conversation. And we've been having it, and you've been having it with Sox fans in your life. But that one play there really summed a lot of things up with this Sox team. Despite the energy, the fire, the swagger as of late under Miguel Cairo, those types of things have been happening. Fly balls that should be caught, players almost colliding, or a ball just dropping at the foot of an outfielder. Lance Lynn was on the hill on Wednesday, and I was kind of excited to see Lance Lynn. He's been pitching very well, 5 straight quality starts up until what he turned in on Wednesday. Not sharp at all. He went 6 innings, 9 hits, 6 runs. Now, only 3 were earned because there was just horrible defense behind him. He gave up a walk and 3 strikeouts. He just didn't look good, didn't look comfortable, and you could see the frustration, his body language of what was happening behind him. Sox defense, 2 errors. Moncada and Vaughn each had one. Sox offense, where was it? It just didn't show up. Again, I think so much was taken out of this team Tuesday night. They managed 2 runs on 6 hits. Vaughn and Andrus each had 3 strikeouts. Sox were 1 for 2 with runners in scoring position. 1 for 2. Cleveland did what Cleveland has always done. Boy, they have earned this AL Central title when it actually becomes official. What they did against Minnesota in that 5-game series, and then coming to the South Side and grinding one out on Tuesday, and then really putting it to the Sox on Wednesday, embarrassing them. I mean, and Cleveland, they were having the time of their lives with this. They were cheering in the dugout, every hit, every extra base, every home run. They knew what they were doing to the White Sox. They took their extra bases. They hit for power. McKenzie was solid. I mean, it was 5-0 Cleveland after 3 innings. Just a real disappointing. That's not even the right word. But what else can you say? It was. I was in shock with what I was watching on Wednesday. But in a lot of ways, we've been seeing it for a very long time. Sox are going to send Johnny Cueto to the hill on Thursday. Why are we still watching? Why are we showing up, giving this team our time? It's the White Sox. This is the team that I love. This is my hobby, okay? And I just I love them. I can't quit them. So I'll be there out on Thursday watching this White Sox team. And we only have a few more games, and then they're gone. They're gone for about 6 months until we see pitchers and catchers report. So I'll be there on Thursday. It's a tough team to watch right now. Looking for a little bit of life, a little bit of spark. Show us that you care a little bit on the South side. I want to thank you folks so much for tuning in to Locked on White Sox. You can find this podcast absolutely everywhere you find your podcasts. We're on Twitter and Instagram. You can find us absolutely everywhere for free. Thank you so much for making this your first listen. Now make your second listen, the Locked On MLB podcast with Paul Francis Sullivan. He brings humor, passion, and perspective from teams all over the MLB. It's the number one league-wide podcast. Find it everywhere you find your podcasts, Odyssey, and of course, all of your apps. We're gonna hopefully have some life to talk about with this White Sox team after Thursday's game. See how Johnny Cueto does. Can the Sox salvage one win? It'd be nice to see that. Really appreciate you letting me steal some of your time to talk White Sox. Until next time, I'm Nick Morawski. Go Sox.